about chat. Hi. Hello, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine, and it's Friday evening. Here I am. I am the creator of the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. That's Formula A, that's Formula B. With that, you can solve every complexity of Rubik's Cubes, from the small to the big. No parodies, no parody algorithms to learn, no standardized notation to memorize, no figuring out which algorithm to do next, because it's all just A and B. So, how are you guys all today? Do you have a good day? Let's see. All right. I'm going to start by scrambling. Do. Okay, I usually go step by step rather than just solving one all the way through, because that gets confusing to me on tutorials. So, quick overview. What is the ABCube method? A is 4 twists. Usually they are the bottom row and the right. Ooh, can you focus? There you go. Bottom row, right column. You look at the front of the face as if it were columns and rows. And that's it. You just do. So formula A is this, 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 and that. And what that did is it switched to these two and did a bunch of other stuff. Do it again, switched them again and twisted and did a bunch of other stuff. So I can if I slide the top in between my two formula A's, if you do it, once you've done 6, the bottom reverts itself back to the way it was. But what I just did here is I demonstrated that when you're working on the last corners are all they have to do, you will once they're in the correct place, they will either all be positioned correctly, or they'll all be, if there's 3, they'll be turned in the same direction, but all of them either clockwise or counterclockwise. If there's 2, they'll be turned in opposite directions. That's just because of the mathematics of the cube, because we can turn this cube 3 times and it gets back to solved. So I can turn this cube once, this cube once, this cube once. So, or okay, after 3, the bottom stays solved, and so that was what it looked like for 3 of them twist. This is what it looks like for 2 of them twist, and then the way to solve it, whether you're working with whether these corners are the first thing they do or the last thing you do, it's solved the same way. If they're in the correct place, then formula A will twist it until the yellow's on top. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. When the yellow's on top, you move it out of the way to protect it, and you keep going. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. It's not on top yet, so we keep going. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. And because of the mathematics of the cube, the bottom resolves and resolves itself. So that's formula A. It can also be used on the absolute center to create boxes, in which case this is my column, this is my row, and this is my column. So I would move this piece out, the space down, the cube into the space, and the cube in the space back up again, and that gives us boxes. Undo it the same way. green has white, white has red, so the red must have green. There'll always be either all 6 of them are solved, in which case 3 of them have rotated, or just 4 of them. 4 of them are unsolved, in which case they're opposites. So again, out, down, in, up, applied to the center, creates or fixes boxes. Everything else is done with Formula B. Formula B is, again, you're looking at the front of the cube. Top row goes, every other move is the opposite of its previous. So it's a mathematical 0. Where there's a left, there's a right. Where there's an up, there's a down. So this only moves the 3 pieces you want to move. It always moves 3 pieces, and it doesn't move. So if I'm working on the corners, it doesn't mess up the edges. If I'm working on the edges, it doesn't mess up the corners. The only exception to that is if you've done the centers first and you get a parity. Parities are always undone with a quarter turn, and so that's going to displace your centers. You're going to have to do your centers again. So that's why it's convenient to do the centers last. This way, because all of the cubes can be solved identically, and all of the cubes have the 4 corners. And so the corners dictate what side that's going to be, whereas in the olden days, the absolute center would dictate what side it was going to be. But once we got to 4x4s and larger, we couldn't rely on that unless it was an odd numbered cube without a void. So there we have it. Formula B always uses the top and 2 columns. If the 2 columns are the left and right column, then it's going to work on the corners. If the 2 columns are an outer and an inner column, it's going to work on edges. If 2 columns are 2 inner columns that don't touch the outside, then it's going to move the centers around. But it's always still rotate the top, first up, rotate the back, second up, twist, second down, first down, twist, second down. So it's up, up, down, down, with a twist of the top in between. So and with that, you can solve every Rubik's Cube, because they're all solved the same way. The 3x9 can also be solved with a minor adaptation for Formula B, which I will talk about when I solve that. Probably not today, unless you guys ask me for it. So, here we go. 3, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. Oh, let me scramble this one. Oh, also another fun little factoid. If you want to practice on the centers without messing up the corners and edges, the way you can do that is when you're twisting it, when you're scrambling it, just keep your corners together before you move a different axes. Keep corners together. Keep corners together. Corners together. And then when you're done scrambling, all you have to do is line up the edges again, and the edges will line up, because when you keep the corners together, the edges don't get scrambled. And then you have your cage is still done, and you can work on the centers. With the cage is helpful because it keeps track of what columns you're using when you get to a larger cube, and you can forget it's like, so for instance, up, and then which way did I turn it? If I go, that way doesn't line up, so I have to go this way. So the edges are there to remind you which way you had gone, so you don't get confused and lost. Again, up, slide, up, reverse, down, reverse, down. So, anybody have any questions? Anybody want to talk to me? Tell me how their day's going. Do I have anybody new? New is fun. Okay. Well, anyway, if you've just joined us, I am Sunshine, and I've created the ABCube method. There's formula A, there's formula B, and now I'm going to demonstrate how to solve. We're starting. No matter which cube you have, they all have 8 corners. So that's where we start. They all have 8 corners, so it doesn't matter which cube we start on. They all have 8 corners. We'll start here. This one I didn't scramble completely because I was demonstrating how to keep the edges. So I'll finish scrambling that. Okay, so start with a 3 because it's fun. I used to be color neutral. When I created this method, my friend said you can't let them choose. You have to tell them what to do because people want to be told what to do. So I'm like, okay, fine. We'll start with yellow. The reason I chose yellow is all cubes have it. Not all cubes have the white. Yellow is usually opposite the white. I've had some cubes that were white cubes with black stickers. I've had, as well as having black cubes with white stickers. The void cube doesn't have white at all. It has purple. Not every cube is uniformly colored, so I just start with yellow. Unless it's a void cube. Unless it's a mirror cube. The mirror cubes, I start with the biggest side, the longest side. So here's a yellow. I'm going to start with corners. Again, you don't have to, but I do. Start with corners. I picked this corner, so this corner is correct because I am all powerful, and so are you. So I'm going to make the rest of the cube match this corner, and I'm going to do that starting with the corners. So I'm looking. So this one's correct. So I look at this one. Is there a yellow on top? If there is, I'm going to slide it out of the way, slide the top row to protect it. If there's not, then is there a yellow anywhere? Hi, thank you for the follow. Is there a yellow anywhere on this corner at all? The answer is no, so I look at the corner underneath it. Is there a yellow anywhere on this one? The answer is no. If the answer is yes, if there's a yellow in any one of these 2 spots, formula A will bring the yellow to the top layer and to the top face. So, but there has to be a yellow here for that to work. So if there's not, you rotate the bottom row by 1/4 turns until the answer is yes. No yellow. There is a yellow. Now, of course, you can shortcut and just muscle it up there, but I teach the first 4 corners the same way I teach the second 4 corners, so newbies only have to learn one way of doing it. So this corner wants to come up here. I'm going to move it away from the action. It's right there. I'm going to move the space where it wants to be down. I'm going to move the cube into the space, and the cubie and the space back up. So now my yellow is on the top. Slide the top to keep it safe and protect it and get it out of the way. And I keep going on this one. No yellow on this cube, no yellow on this cube. So I rotate the bottom 1/4 turns. Still no. Yes, there it is. Of course, you can do the inverses and mirrors and parallels, but when I'm teaching, I'm usually teaching someone who does not know the cube, and so I just stay consistently with just formula A, and formula 6 times will get you back to start, so at the most it's 5 times. If you've done it more than 5 times, then you messed up. Look for your yellow again. Speaking of messing up, with this pattern, with this method, there's really only 3 or 4 ways you can make a mistake. One of them is you got confused and you did a left and then another left instead of a left and a right, or so you misread the arrow, or you got confused looking at the edges when you're supposed to be looking at corners, or the centers where you're supposed to be doing something else. You have to ignore everything but the one cube you're placing. And then the third way is if you drop the cube in the middle of your formula and you don't know where you were, you got confused. So that's really the only way you can mess up. And I always tell my newbies that messing up is a good thing because you've just done the hardest part about solving the cube. The reason I say that is because as you're first learning, you're like, oh, I did it! I got this far! And they're like, and so they'll get the corners done, and I'll say, okay, good, here, now do it on that one. Okay, now do it on that one. And I just get them working on the corners. But before I did that, I would take it away. I'd say, okay, now scramble it up and do it again. Let's do it again. And I'd get them working on just the corners until they're very comfortable with both A and B. So let's move on to B. Formula A, it moves the color to the top. In this case is yellow. The second thing to do is you're looking at each corner has 3 colors. We've only looked at 1 color so far, so we're going to look at the other 2 colors. And we're looking to see whether they match on the side. Ignoring the center, we don't care what color this is. Red does not equal green. Orange does not equal red. Green does not equal orange, but blue equals blue. Now, because of the mathematics of the cube, if your color's on top, when you check the sides, either all of them will match, or none of them will match, or one of them will match. It cannot be any other way. You cannot have 2 sides that match and then one that's not, unless somebody got crazy and rearranged, peeled off stickers or something, or took it apart. So if there's one side that matches, in this case it's blue, it's going to go away from you, and we move on to Formula B. Formula B, every other move is the top row, and the 2 columns are the left column and the right column, 4 corners. If you use these 2 columns, it moves corners. If you use these 2 columns, it moves edges. And if you move 2 center columns, then it only moves the centers. So, but it's still Formula B. It's still slide the top first up, slide back, second up, slide the top first down, slide down, second down. So it's up, up, down, down. So there's my horizontal move. There's my first up. There's my horizontal move. There's my second up. Reverse down and down. Now it looks like I've messed it up, but I didn't. I go right into A and bring my color back to the top again, and when I do, the sides will match. So out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Slide the top to keep it safe and protected, and work on the next one that needs to be twisted. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Now you'll notice that I'm not moving the cube, I'm only rotating the top row. And that is because I don't want to mess up the bottom in case it is solved. So, out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. And now the first 4 corners are correct to each other. And when they are, then you place them down, face down, boom. And you do the exact same thing for the second 4 corners. This one is correct, this one needs to be twisted. So Formula A, out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. White's on top, move it out of the way. White's on top, move it out of the way. Keep going, moving. White is not on top, so Formula A again. Until the white gets to the top. And as promised, the sides, these 5 sides are all correct to each other. The second 4 sides, again, because one of 3 things. Either they're all correct, or none of them are, or one of them is. And in this case, it happened to be all. So rotate the top until the top and the bottom are correct to each other, and now all 8 corners are correct to each other. And that is step 1. It's a good time to set the center if you have an odd number of cubes. But if you don't, we can do it later. That's not a problem. So, we've done the corners on this one. Let's do the corners on this one. Okay, this one's correct. This one does not have a yellow, but this one does. So, Formula A brings the color to the top, out, down, in, up. Yellow's on top, slide it out of the way. Yellow's already on top, keep sliding it out of the way. Last corner for yellow. No yellow here, no yellow here. Check again, rotate the bottom, check again. There we go. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. And eventually it comes to the top. Like I said, not the fastest way, but the easiest to teach, the easiest to learn, in my opinion. So, yellows are on top. Red and blue do not match. Green matches, so the green goes facing away. And we do Formula B. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and A to bring the color back to the top again. Slide it to protect it, more A's, slide it to protect it, A again, and yellow's on top, sides match. These four corners are correct to each other. They go down. This one's white, so I'm going to start here because this one needs work. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Keep going because white is not on the top yet. There. Slide it out of the way to protect it. Keep going. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. White's on top. My first four have not been altered, or rather they were scrambled, but they appeared to have been scrambled, but they automatically came back together because A and B won't mess up your cube. So, blue does not equal orange, red is my matching color, it goes away from me, and formula B is going to move these three corners around. So slide first up, slide second up, slide down, and A to bring the color back to the top, slide to correct it, keep going, slide the top to protect it, keep going, and now the second four corners are correct to each other. The first four corners are correct to each other. So we rotate the top row until the top and bottom corners are correct to each other, and when that happens, all 8 corners are correct to each other. And so this is what it looks like on this one, this is what it looks like on that one. So that one's done. Continuing on, here's a yellow. There's no yellow here, but there's a yellow here. So out, down, in, up. Yellow's on top. Slide the top to protect it. Keep working. Is there a yellow? Yes. So out, down, in, up. Is there a yellow on top? No. Out, down, in, up. Still not on top. Out, down, in, up. Still not on top. Out, down, in, up. There it is. Slide it away to protect it. No yellow there, no yellow there, so I slide the bottom. Now there's a yellow. There's going to be 4 yellows because that's the mathematics of the cube. There's 4 corners, 4 of every color corners. So out, down, in, up, and there we have it. So yellow on all 4 corners. We check the sides. Blue and green don't match. Red and green don't match. The orange does. It goes away. Formula B. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and then A brings the color back to the top, and when it does, they will match. And now my first 4 corners are correct to each other. They go down, and all the corners have a white, so white's my second color. I don't have to look and see if there's a white in one of these two because we already established there are because all the yellows are down and yellow and white are opposites. So I just do formula A. Out, down, in, up. Again, I'm moving this piece away from the action. I'm moving the space it's going to be down. Move the cube into the space and the cubie and the space back up. So that's white on top. Move it out of the way. That's white on top. Keep it safe. This one does not white on top, so I'm going to do formula A again until it comes to the top. And when I do that, my bottoms are still correct. They're still correct to each other because A and B doesn't mess up anything except for the ones you're actively working on. So green and red, blue and blue, blue goes to the back. Formula B, and then A will bring the color back to the top. Up, up, down, down. You'll notice my yellows are still safe. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Slide the top. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Slide the top. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. And slide the top. Okay, so white's on top. And we match the second 4 corners are correct to each other, the first 4 corners are correct to each other, and the first 4 and second 4 are correct to each other, so that one has the corners done. So. Excuse me. The mirror cube is the same as the 3x3, the difference being that instead of painting each side a different color, each side is unique by being a specific distance away from the center. So we have short pieces, we have long pieces, and we have 4 kinds of in-between pieces. So as I work from the outside, I generally will start with the larger pieces. This feels like a long piece. As I hold it in my cube, these are the ones that are touching my fingers, so this is a big piece. I rotate the centers to see which center it matches, and it's this one. Let's make sure that really is the longest one. And it is. So this is my longest one. This corner is matched to it. This looks like a long piece. This does not look like a long piece. As I'm looking for the long pieces, so I look below it. There's a long piece. Formula A, out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. One more, out, down, in, up. And that is indeed the long piece. Slide the top to get it out of the way. This looks like it might be a long piece. And if it's not, this one looks like it is. So, out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. It's not on, the long is not on top yet. Out, down, in, up. Okay, long is on top now. Slide it out of the way to protect it. Keep going. One of these is probably long. Out, down, in, up. That's one. Well, it wasn't that one. Out, down, in, up. 2. Out, down, in, up. 3. Out, down, in, up. 4. Okay, so these 4 corners are long piece up now. So it is as if they were yellow. Now I check the sides to see if they're the same size. These look to be the same length, distance from center. These do not, and these do not. So this is my side that matches. It goes away from me. And I do formula B. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and then formula A to bring them back to the top. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Slide. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Slide. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, and up. So the longest pieces are the longest corners are now correct to each other. Put them face down, and I'm working on the shortest corners now. This one, none of them look to be short side up, so they all have to be twisted. Formula A does that. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. That looks like short side up, so I slide it out of the way to protect it. Keep going. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. That does not look like the short side, so I keep going. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. That does look like the short side. Slide it out of the way to keep it going. Keep going. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Keep going. More A's. That looks like the right size. This does not look short side up yet. So out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. And now all of my corners, the second 4 corners, are all short side up. So we look to see if the sides match. These do not look to be the same length. These do not look to be the same length. These do look to be the same length. So matching side goes to the back. I do formula B. Slide up, slide up, slide down, and formula A to bring the short side to the top again. Slide the top to protect it. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Slide the top to protect it. Out, down, in, up, out, down, in, up. Top is on front. Second four corners are correct to each other. So this looks like they look to be correct top to bottom. So these 8 corners are all correct to each other, and the long side goes down because the other sides are wobbly. So that's why I always start with the long side. So that is the corners correct to each other, except for the 5, which I think I've demonstrated enough. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Want to tell me how your day was? Ask me how I got into solving Rubik's Cubes? Ask me when I got into solving Rubik's Cubes? Ask me my best time. My best time is a minute and 21 seconds for the 3x3. I've only just started timing myself. Because when I learned speed solving wasn't the goal. The goal was what kind of pretty patterns if you can solve it. If you could just solve it, then you were already a genius. But if you could, once you've solved it, then there was 2 things you can do. You could either try to do it be fast. 3 things. You try to be faster, try to make pretty patterns, or you could teach someone else how to do it. And that's what I did. That was what was fun for me. So I would, every recess, every lunchtime in high school, junior high school, I would have a cube in my hand, and my friends and their friends and their friends would come around and say, "What do I do next? Well, how do I do this one? What do I do now?" And that was how I got through. That's how I got through brick and mortar school. Was by being able to solve the Rubik's Cube. So I did not. It wasn't this pattern. It was a book that I bought from 7-Eleven, the corner store, and it was the simple solution to Rubik's Cube, and I just memorized it and taught it. This took me 5 years to come up with. The hardest part was forgetting what I know, because I would be solving the cube and I'd get to a pattern. It's like, oh, I know how to solve that. I just do this. And I'm like, but I'm writing down a solution. If I do that, I have to write that down as a third formula that people are going to have to learn. Do I want to do that? It's like, well, can I actually solve the whole thing with just the A and B? And I succeeded. So at the time, I tried to find an agent, couldn't find an agent, so I rewrote the book as, instead of from the 3x3 perspective and everything else, I started from the 5x5 perspective, because once you get the 5x5 done, there's nothing more complicated, nothing more complex. There's no more different types of cubies you have to learn about, and everything more is just more of the same, and everything smaller is just skipping a step. So I rewrote it from the 5x5 perspective, and I started teaching it from using all 4 cubes at the same time. And it takes me between an hour and a half, between an hour and a half and 2 hours total teaching time to take someone from an absolute newbie who doesn't think they can solve the cube to someone who is comfortable taking any size cube because they know they can solve it, because it's A and B, that's all you need. So what happens if there's a parity? A parity is an optical illusion. A parity looks like there's 2 pieces that are out of place that need to interchange with each other, as opposed to 2 pieces that are flipped, and both need to be flipped. This is where one cube is where the other one's supposed to be. And while you cannot get that on a 3x3, back when we were learning, you could, because if you forgot to set the center before you started, And when you got to where you had a parity, something that could not happen, it's like, oh, it's because my center is off. Well, you'd fix the center, try it again, and you could not get that problem on a 3x3. And sadly, you can. Coincidentally, you can on the void, because again, you can't see the center. With a 4x4, you can't see the center. So when you have a parity, and it looks like there's two pieces, the third piece is always the slice itself because of the mathematics of the cube. So if you have two pieces, let me demonstrate. I'm going to create a parity here. And doing the centers first is how you get a parity. What did I do? What did I just do? I just confused myself. Oh, there it goes. There it is. Okay. Okay, so I just undid my parity. I just undid my parity. I got confused talking to you guys. Okay, let's do this again. Parity can show up looking like many different things, but anytime it is two pieces, the third piece is the center, and you set the center and the parity will disappear. So here is an example. The green and white piece wants to be here where the green and yellow is. The green and yellow wants to be where the green and white is, and everything else is correct. And it's more likely to happen when you did the centers first, because when you get a parity, if you're going outside in, then when the parity shows up, you can just undo that, do a quarter turn and get rid of it. So the row that has the parity, whether it's these two on the same row, or this row and this one, or this one and this one, any row that has at least one piece of the parity is a quarter turn off. And so you make that 1/4 turn either direction, and now you have one piece that's correct and three that are not correct, and you know how to fix that. You either have an algorithm, or we can just place it with B. Keep placing the piece that's not red on top, so I'm looking for the piece that's not red. Line up to the front corners, go in the direction of your top color. And having made that quarter turn, the parity disappears, because that was your third piece that needed to be set. Set the top, and you have a cage. So that's how you do the corners on the cubes. Yay, thank you. Thank you for following me. Thank you for spending time with me. I really appreciate you guys. Cubing is fun for me. It's been fun for me for 30 years. So if nobody has any questions, I will be back here in the morning, and check my time schedule on my bio there, and on my Twitch, and I'm usually here weekday mornings walking through steps, which I did today because I got off schedule this week. Friday evening and Saturday, I just like talking with you guys and going over history, going over novelty items, Here's my 2x2 mirror cube. I like and this is my favorite one. Actually, the GAN one is my favorite one because it lines up when I turn it, quarter turns. And my second favorite one is this one because it has two solve states. You can solve it by shape, or you can solve it by color. There's you've got nine yellow pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this one can be solved by color or by shape, and so I can always pick up a cube, and without having to scramble it, I can just solve it without having to scramble it beforehand, because it's always in a scrambled state whether it's solved or not. So that's fun. This is a plus cube. Also works. A and B also solve this cube. The difference is that you can't turn the sides unless they're lined up by shape first. So I have to make it by shape, and then I treat this as a 5x5, and these are all inner columns. And then I just place the pieces using Formula B over and over and over again. Again, you can get a parity if you notice the colors on the top line up to the middle corner. So if I have a parity, I don't want to turn the top row to fix it, and I don't want to turn the middle row to fix it, so I always turn the bottom row to fix the parity, and then solve it again. The parity's gone. 1/4 turn is always the way to undo a parity. And that's it. I've run out of things to talk about. So I will be back here in the morning. Anybody want to talk to me? Tell me their favorite channel. I also have a Go Cube. So if anybody wants to, I do race, but I'm not fast. Like I said, my personal best is my average is about 1.5 minutes. My personal best is 1:21 seconds. So if you're slow like me, we can race. Otherwise, I will be back here tomorrow. Thank you for spending time with me. Bye.